Okay, so our objective for math today will be, I will be able to apply my understanding of fractions on a number line to connect given fractions. So basically, by the end of this lesson, I will be giving you fractions and a blank number line, and you're going to be able to figure out where exactly it goes on the number line. So first we have quick look cards. After every time I show you, pause, fill out the slide. You ready? Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead and pause and complete the first box of the slide. Next quick look. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and pause and complete the second box of the slide. Last card. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I hope that got you thinking about some fractions today. So, the whole is the distance from 0 to 1. Label 1/2 where you think it should go on the number line. Share your thinking with a partner. You might not have a partner to share with, but that's okay. So you're going to take this 1/2 that's over here, and you're going to click and drag it to where you think that half should be on this number line. Go ahead and do that before you move along in the slides. So I will move on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, how many halves have I traveled? How will I label this? So, since I have traveled 0, this would be, and we know from this question, halves, this would be 0 halves. So it'd be 0 over 2. How many halves have I traveled now? Well, if this is 0 halves, anything that is a 1 is going to have the same number as the numerator and the same number as the denominator. So since I know that I'm doing halves, Since I know that I'm doing halves, and this is 0 halves, then 1 has to be 2 halves, because 2 halves make a whole, okay? So if 0 is 0 halves and 1 is 2 halves, where is half? 1/2. So that would be 0 half, 1/2, 2 halves. So I hope that's where you labeled it on the first slide. But if you didn't label it here on that slide, that's okay. That was just a guess anyways. Okay, so how should I label this point in halves? So I have 0 halves, 1/2, 2 halves, and I think this is halfway between 1 and 2. So I think that this one would be 3 halves. And I'm right. How should I label this point right here? Now I'm at 2 wholes. How many halves make 2 wholes? We've gone over this before with the the pink fraction circles. How many of those pink fraction circles did it take to make 2 wholes? It would be 4 halves, okay? Which is interesting because 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? So if I have 2 wholes and I wanted to break them into 4 parts, I would have 4 halves. I hope that that makes sense. Count the halves with me as I go along. 0 halves, 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, and 4 halves. Today you will learn how to partition whole distances to locate given fractions on a number line. Take a look at this number line. If the distance from 0 to 1 is the whole, right? How many wholes are on this number line? So this is 1 whole. how many total do we have on our number line? And put your answer right here in the box. Take a look at this number line. It is the same number line. What do you notice about the length of the holes? Look at the length of the holes compared to the previous number line on slide 11. So we're going to go back to slide 11 right here. So we have 0, 1, 2, and that's how they're spread apart. Now we're looking at this one, and this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So what do you notice about the length of the holes here compared to the holes on that previous slide? Label the number line in halves, okay? So halves, this would start out as 0 halves, and then you continue on. We have already done 0 through 2. Really, you're just adding on to get to 3. If the distance from 0 to 1 is a whole, okay, this is a whole, how many holes are on this number line? And put your answer right here. What do you notice about the length of the holes on the number line compared to the previous one on slide 15? Okay, what do you notice about this that is different from slide 15? And go ahead and put it right here. Why does the distance from 0 to half of the hole appear to get shorter on each number line? So when you're looking here, we have 0 to 1, and here's our half right there, okay? How is that different when we're looking at this one? 0 to 1, that would be half. So that looks very different from there. And then on the previous one before that, the half is right here. You see the distance on the number lines is getting smaller as we continue to have more holes. And I want you to put on that slide why you think that is. Okay. Uh-oh. I'm going to pause for a moment. Okay. I thought there was an error on the next slide, but there is not. So there are 6 holes on this number line. You can write one hole as 1 over 1 because it's 1 out of 1, right? That's how we know it is one hole. You can write 2 holes as 2 over 1, okay? So it's 2 holes. That's kind of like how we were doing halves, 0 half, 1 half. Now we're doing this in holes. 0 holes, 1 hole, 2 holes. So what fraction can show 3 holes? And I want you to put your answer right here, okay? So 0 holes, 1 hole, 2 holes, and then you're actually going to label the rest of the number line, okay? For 4, 5, and 6. In holes, not halves. So, and after you're done with that, then you will move on. So I'll give you 5 seconds to pause, go ahead and do those slides, and then come on back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number lines show different numbers of holes by showing more or fewer whole numbers, not by changing the distance between 0 and 1. This is very important. No matter the size of that distance, it always represents a hole on a number line, and half is always located halfway between 0 and 1 and represents a half of that hole. Okay, sorry, there was a mistake, and so I need to go back. Okay, so the hole on the number lines below is the distance between 0 and 1. Partition each number line to locate and then label the given fraction. Hint, on some of the number lines, there's more than one hole. So in problem 1, this problem, if the hole is the distance from 0 to 1, how many holes are on this number line? It's pretty simple. Okay, so that's your clue. And go ahead and answer that box. How many equal parts should there be? So this is where we have a clue, okay? It's since I'm going to try and plot 1/3 along this number line, right? I need to find out how many equal parts there needs to be, and it tells me right here because the denominator lets us know that that is 1 out of 3 equal parts. What is the size of each part? Now this part gets really difficult, and I'm going to show you on the Hovercam. So hold on one moment. Okay, so you guys won't be able to do this on your book, obviously, because you don't have your book, but you can do this on slides because I gave you guys the slides. But for now, I just want you to watch. I have 1/3 that I'm trying to find out here on this number line. Now, does it work if I go, okay, if I'm doing thirds, then it's 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3? No, that does not work, okay? Because this is 3/3, okay? So I'm just going to label that right now. I know that this is 0/3. And I know that this is 3/3. And I need to figure out how I'm going to plot 1/3 and 2/3 equally, okay? So this is the part where you're kind of guessing, all right? I don't want you to write all of your fractions on one piece of this line because this line is so long, right? So in order to kind of guess, I'm going to try and guess like halfway, okay? I'm going to guess like halfway is about here, right? So I'm going to just tiny mark that. That's halfway. But I need to plot only 2 points, right? I have 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Okay, so that means that I need to, I don't have just one that I need to plot. I need to plot 1 and 2. So I need to make sure that whatever distance is from here to here, or I'm sorry, from wherever I plot 2/3 is going to be the same distance to 1/3. That is from 0/3. So I gotta kind of guess a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna put my line right here, okay, for 1/3, okay? And then, so that's about this many distance, maybe about like 3 fingers. I'm going to do another 3 fingers, and that should be about here, 2/3, okay? So this seems pretty equal to me. I've got 0 to 1 like that, 1 to 2 like that, and 2 to 3 like that. Okay, so that's how you partition equally. It is easier with an even number because then you'll be able to use this halfway point. Okay, so for instance, in 2/6, you can use a halfway point because you need to plot out 6 points. Okay, and that's a little bit easier to do. Okay, so let's go back. And so this is what it would look like, right? On these. So I did not give you the little tally marks at all, okay? The way that you could do that is actually by going up to this that says line and doing lines yourself where you think that they should go, okay? And that's fine. That's totally fine. I just didn't want to give them to you to confuse you and have them plot, be a weird part of it. So that you can do yourself, and then you're actually going to label the next few slides. I'm running out of time, so I will see you in a moment.